Hey guys! So today we are going to be doing an apartment. I know this is actually not in an apartment, like it's not in San Myshuno. I do have city living, but none of the apartments in city living or in San Myshuno looked like how I wanted it to. So I just kind of built it on a random lot. I'm not really sure if anybody will download this just because it looks bad from the outside, but I think the real gem of this build is on the inside. It is, for being such a small build, it's actually a really long video just because I put so many items in it, and you'll see all the items that I do put in this build. It's quite a lot, and it does take me like a full 20 minutes to do. The problem was this video is slowed down much more than my other videos. I think just because the area is really small, so I do a lot of rotations, and if I were to make this build any faster, I honestly think people would get sick watching this just because of how often I rotated my camera. And even for me doing this kind of stuff, well, later on you'll see, I still move my camera really often, and it gets a little bit irritating, but I'm keeping it like that just because I want to keep it within the 20 minutes. And yeah, so what I wanted this to be, so if you couldn't see already, the title of this is Artist Loft, and I guess I just wanted it to make it look like a really big open space that was super white. I wanted the walls white, I wanted the floors white, just because I wanted all the color to come from the furniture and the artwork. So yeah, but anyways, my idea for the sim that lives here is that, you know, they're just kind of an aspiring artist, and they're really proud of their artwork. They're very crazy in their sort of aesthetic. So nothing really matches, but at the same time everything matches, just because it's so crazy and chaotic. Yeah, so I really tried to make a lot of the colors come from all the little decor items. And yeah, again, like I said, for such a small build, there's so many buy items in this. It's pretty crazy. Yeah, but I'm not really sure if people will download this just because the outside, I did nothing to it just because I knew in my mind what I wanted the inside to look like, and I sacrificed heavily on the outside. I think that potentially you could sorry, I think that potentially you could, I guess, sort of put this into an apartment in San Myshuno, but it really wouldn't go because I looked at all the exteriors of all their buildings, and none of them really seemed to match. I almost wanted it to seem a little bit almost like a warehouse, almost like a cross between warehouse and a Paris-inspired apartment. I think the floorboards that I use are actually herringbone, and it definitely started to take a little bit of a European vibe, which actually inspired my next build. You'll see my next build because that's an interesting one. It's definitely a very, very big build, and yeah, so you'll have to stay tuned for that. Yeah, which I guess that's a little bit of a hint to say that it's European inspired. Oh my gosh, my voice is going all over the place. Sorry. Yeah, I've done a couple of voiceovers already, so my voice is getting a little bit tired, so sorry about that. But yeah, so this is called Loft, but it actually has a room in it. I know usually sometimes, usually when they say loft, you know, there's the exclusion of the bathroom, just because obviously if you were to have an open bathroom, that'd be pretty interesting. But this does actually have a room. It's a really small room, and I made it specifically for this sim that lives here. So that room right there, that's actually an office. I guess you could make it into a bedroom, but the bedroom would be extremely, extremely small. I think it is a 3x4 tile, so I don't even know if you can fit a double bed in there, so you can try if you download this, but yeah. And then here I am putting like a huge desk in the middle of the room. It definitely blocks off some of the space, but I don't know, it's very specific to this sim that's an artist that honestly would have more space to do their art than to sleep and to live. Something funny about this apartment, it actually does not have like a living room. There's like no couches, no like armchairs, and there's no TV. I thought this person like gets all of their entertainment and all their fun from painting, and they would rather like go out and like explore the city than like be at home and like watch TV. And also, again, being maybe a little bit too realistic, but hey, we have computers now that like can stream TV, so are TVs really that relevant anymore? I'm not really sure. Maybe for big game days, but at least for me, I almost like never watch TV. I only just watch like my laptop. But yeah, and then here I am going into a little bit of detailed work. I'm doing some of the like artwork around, but I will say that all the artwork like changes. Yeah, it took me a little bit of a long time to figure out what kind of like art pieces that I wanted to put on the walls. So yeah, the artwork all changes, so don't get attached to it. But there, underneath those like archways, that is the kitchen. The kitchen gave me a little bit of a hard time, but I think in the end, it really helped like stepping away from the kitchen and then coming back to it. That definitely made it a little bit easier to work with. But this is that room is the office. And then when you go outside of the office, it's almost like another office. So there's a lot of room to like be painting. And this apartment actually has, I'm not sure, is it 3 or if it's 4 painting easels? It has a lot of easels. So yeah, this is definitely very like catered towards an artsy sim. But I really like it. I think it's kind of cool to do like these themed rooms, and I really like the way it turns out. It's very, like if you were to take all of the decor items away, like completely delete them or like sell them or whatever, honestly, it looks like a regular home. It's very black and white. Yeah, the walls are white, the flooring is white. It's pretty cool. But it's just because I put all these decor items around that it makes it look super alive and super colorful, which, I don't know, I think that's really quite interesting. Yeah. And at this point, I really wanted the kind of aesthetic of being everything like white. But I don't know, I just really like the black windows, so I just went back to those. And then behind that door, that is the bathroom. And then, I don't know if you could see, oh yeah, right there, that is what I think would be like a foyer closet, just where you put all your coats and stuff, but it's not really useful. I didn't really put anything in that 2x1 room. And then beyond that is a 2x2 room, and that has the elevator. It doesn't go anywhere, it doesn't work, but it's there because that's what I thought it would look like. I don't know, like if this is like a practical home and if that anyone would use it, but I really like the way it turned out, and sometimes I don't really care if it works in The Sims. I just like it. I honestly sometimes just like to build to see if things like work out, if things like look cool. So yeah, like a lot of times they're not really like practical in terms of like use, but I don't know, I've always been sort of into interior design, and this is just kind of a way for me to put my ideas in my head onto like a physical, into like actual, I don't know, images and stuff. Yeah. But this is actually the point where the kitchen was giving me a hard time, because as you can see, like right there, it's really just, it's not inspiring. It's just really dark and drab. But I don't know, I add some items later on, I add some lighting later on, and it definitely gives it a little bit of a an upgrade and a boost. And yeah, this is the point where I realized that I completely forgot a living room, but I was like, actually, it doesn't even matter. Like, I can just make this a dining room, like a little table, and that's fine. Like, it doesn't really matter. Yeah. But it's like weird because this like apartment has like 2 desks and like no living room. That could be weird, but yeah. And then here I am doing the office, and this is definitely a little bit more formal. You know, maybe if you actually want to get your work done, and have like a little bit of a separate area to do your work, right? Separate area for your work and separate area for your actual like living. So yeah. And then I put the 2 bookshelves together, but then they kept clipping in between each other, so I had to add the shelves, which I don't know how great that looks, but it definitely helped, because when you like move your camera around, you'll see it like glitching in between each other, and that wasn't that fun. This is kind of like a substitute for a windowsill. So I just put a table there, and I just used some half walls to kind of close it off a little bit. But yeah, that's how I made windowsills. And then later on I put stuff on with the windowsills just to try to make it look a little bit, you know, realistic. But for some reason, I'm really not sure why, but I took the screenshots and none of the items on those tables like showed up, and also when you play in the game, I don't think they show up either. So I'm not actually sure what's wrong, because I don't really think anything is like glitching out. I don't think I like put any of these things, like, not illegally, but not like officially, because it's just a desk and then some items on a desk and then a half wall like right next to it. I don't really understand why it's like glitching out like that. So yeah, that's a little bit sad, because when I took the screenshots, I could definitely like see that, you know, it wasn't as lively as when I was furnishing it, just because none of the items are there. Yeah, that kind of sucked. But yeah, so I guess let's just move on from that. But also, I don't know what's going on with this like apartment too, because I don't know if you can see it in the speed build, but the half walls, when they connect to the full walls, they also like glitch out, which again, like completely throwing me off, because it shouldn't be a glitch. Like a half wall connected to a full wall shouldn't be like doing that, and I'm not really sure why. So I don't know what's going on with this. Yeah, it's a weird one, but you know, it is still like playable. You still do have everything that you need. It's a weird lot. I don't know what's going on with this. Yeah. And so I made this what is it called? I didn't upload this to the gallery as a room. I uploaded it to the gallery as a house. So it might be a little bit tricky, because I know some people like might want to put this into an apartment in San Myshuno, but I don't know if that's really gonna work. So I'm just digging myself a hole here. Maybe I should just delete some of the walls and make it a room, so you can actually like put it into a building in like in San Myshuno. Maybe that would be a better idea, because if you like, when I go to the worlds, like when I go to manage worlds, it's a box on a lot and it looks so bad. It's like worse than that house on the street that's like gets all the gripe because it's so ugly. Like, this is honestly an unfinished, unpainted box, and it looks so bad. It's really bad. But yeah, the real gem of it is on the inside. Yep. And then now we are just putting a lot of paintings around. This took me a pretty long time, just because I had to choose all the paintings. I don't know if I actually used all the paintings that were available in the game, but I almost did. There's so many items, or so many like wall paintings in this. It's pretty crazy. Yeah. But I found those sketches, like sketches, maybe like nude sketches of, I don't know, like some Sims, but I really like those. It definitely made it look a little bit more like an artist kind of studio. This is kind of like a combination of an artist's home, a loft, a studio. So yeah. And then I don't know if I even mentioned it. Actually, I don't think I have to mention it, but the bedroom is completely open, but I put those curtains in. So my idea was that you could like draw the curtains and it could almost seem like a closed off space, but not be a closed off space. So yeah. And then I also like smudged it right into the wall, so it's not like the full curtain, it's like half a curtain. Yep. Just doing a little bit more of some decor items. I really wanted it to make it look very, very cluttered, very, very chaotic, a lot of items around. Definitely one of the most crowded rooms, or not rooms, but homes I've ever done. Yeah, just putting a lot of items everywhere. Paint cans, yeah, and I completely just load those windowsills with items, put a lot of plants there, a lot of just little boxes and things around. And yeah, so a lot of really, really crowded spaces. And yeah, this definitely inspired my next build because it almost started to look very like Paris-like. So you'll see in my next build a really interesting one where I do a lot of stuff. I actually might split it into multiple parts because it's one of like the largest lots I think I've ever built. It's so big, it's crazy, and it took me so long. And it gave me a little bit of trouble too because I had a hard time furnishing it. Once I finished the exterior, I had like no motivation to do the interior. But what helps, 100% what helps, if you ever have trouble like furnishing an apartment, or not an apartment, but furnishing like a residential lot, a commercial lot, whatever it may be, it definitely helps to just step away. Step away for like 5 minutes or maybe like a whole day. You'll come back and you'll be like super refreshed. You'll like have a direct plan. Everything will just work out. It's crazy. Just, stepping away and coming back to it later makes a huge difference. Like, don't look at it too long. Don't try to like get upset that nothing's working out. It definitely helps. Just take a step away. And that's what happened with me. And yeah, at this point, I'm just putting some tiles, and I have never used those tiles before, but I really like them. I think it completely added to the aesthetic of it just being very European-like. Something about it makes it seem kind of old, but still like new a little bit. I know those two are like oxymorons, but old, but still feel like a little bit like refreshed and, well taken care of. Yeah. And then I'm just putting like so many more paintings. Maybe I got a little bit too carried away with them. Again, I'm not really sure if any of them show up. I think some of them show up, but a lot of the items on the windowsills are just completely gone, and that made me really sad because I really like the way that it turned out, but they weren't there, and that kind of sucked. Also, I don't know why I used a glass door. Because that is not practical at all. Yeah, maybe you should change that into a solid door so it's not like people can see right into your apartment. Man, I am coughing all day today. Sorry about that. Oh yeah, I completely forgot about the bathroom. I love the tile that I use. It definitely added to the idea of it just being kind of like a older build, but feel very like a little bit like modernized. Yeah, the blue tiles, I mean it doesn't go, but at the same time it's like beautiful and it completely goes. I don't know if I'm making any sense right now, but here are the screenshots. And yeah, tell me what you think. It's really interesting how the floors, the walls, and the ceilings are like all white. It's definitely a look. I'm not sure if people like it, but I like it. And yeah, those are the blue tiles, which are beautiful. I think that they look so good. Here is the little outdoor kind of office, and then this is the indoor office with that fancy little painting easel. Here we have another screenshot. It's pretty cool how all the windows are completely open. That's quite nice. And then this is the kitchen, and I love the way this turned out. It has a feeling of being very old and traditional, but just being very clean and nice. Yeah. And this is my favorite screenshot. I think this is my favorite screenshot, so I made it like the thumbnail too. Yeah. But I was so sad that none of the items turned out. Like, you can't see any of the items on the windowsills, which is upsetting. But yeah. I think that's really it. But again, most of the build is focused on the interior and the decorations. Yeah, but if you see the outside, it looks really bad. You'll see on the download, if you click the download link, it looks so bad on the outside. But yeah, I think this is either the last screenshot or the second to last screenshot. Oh, the floor plans, and then that is really it. So it's just a box, but thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye bye!